there is apparently I've heard this from several people, is that there is probably going to be an attempt to not only move JAGs to temporary immigration role judges or immigration judges, but also cut the ranks entirely, like authorize fewer JAGs. There's nothing stopping that. There's nothing saying that the Secretary of Defense can't tell a unit, you will not have an operational law advisor on that mission. He could do that. He could just strip the JAGs away entirely and make it as if we were, in 1862 or 1917 when we had JAGs, but they were all in D.C. or at headquarters in Paris. They were not with the tactical level units. A great advantage that we have as a military is that we do have legal advisors at the tactical level that help ensure that execution of plans and the planning itself is consistent with the rule of law, with international law, with our own domestic law, so that we have legitimacy when we fight. Without legitimacy, we are no better than many of the enemies that we fight. And legitimacy, the military defines it. It's in doctrine. It's defined in part by following the rule of law. So by stripping the ability to follow the rule of law consistently, you're just delegitimizing what we do, both from the public's perception abroad and service members' families and their communities here in the States. So it's deeply concerning.
And rules of engagement keep everyone safe, including our military members, and yet I think Hegseth called them stupid rules of engagement. And, I can't help but think about a variation on the old saying, first thing we do, let's kill all the military lawyers, and then lawlessness can reign supreme in the military, and that is a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe to endanger our troops, not keep them safe,
Yeah.
So
not every law of war is intuitive, right? Sometimes they're pretty complex and nuanced. It's not always fair to assume that the soldier on the ground with the weapon knows that some things are just not permitted, but the lawyer will, or should, and the rules of engagement are there to help ensure that those soldiers are acting consistently with the law of war. It's not, I don't say it's dumbed down, it's simplified to the point where as long as those soldiers are following the 10 or 12 rules of engagement on the little card that they get distributed, that they can put in their pocket, that as long as they're acting consistent with that, it's pretty guaranteed that they're not going to violate any laws. That's a helpful thing for them, to be confident, to know that what you're doing is not just, good for the mission and makes you feel good inside, but it's also compliant with the law. No one wants to be lawless. At least most people don't want to be lawless. And my fear is that these soldiers are going to be placed in positions in our streets where they think they're acting in good faith. They think they're following the law. They think they're doing the right thing, not knowing that they are in fact violating the law because they don't have anyone there to help them understand it.